Hi. Oh, okay, cool. All right. Hi, guys. Can you hear me? I've been having issues with my audio, so okay, perfect. Um, if you guys don't know me, my name is Tiffany Enrique Dierig, and I work in compliance. I don't know. I don't do speaking in front of a lot of people very well, so I apologize in advance. Anyway, we are just going to go through. I'm going to try to keep this as quick as possible and as succinct as possible. We're just going to go through some things that as recruiters, when you are first onboarding your candidates, some things to look for specifically for your CDL A and B drivers on their 10th Street to help. Really, the goal is to help get them through the process.
We lost you.
No, sorry, Tiffany. I was trying to mute John because he was loud and I ended up muting you. You can unmute yourself.
Okay. I thought you muted me because we have work going on outside of my building, so it actually might get loud. So I apologize in advance. I just thought it got super loud. Anyway, I have a checklist written up too. So basically, these are the things that you're gonna want to look for when you first bring on a CDL candidate and you're looking at their 10th Street. If you can make sure that the box, like the information that we're going to discuss, is entered and at least entered properly, like appropriately, then that will help compliance fly through getting your driver approved so much faster. I mean, I literally all day am doing 10th Street updates. Like that's pretty much what I've been doing for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And it takes me an entire shift and I don't often get them completed because there's so many updates and it takes so long. So by doing this like ahead of time, it will help just make the system go so much faster. So I'm gonna share this. I've never done this. Let's see if this, oh, no, it doesn't work. Can I just share can I share the checklist with everyone, Kat, or?
You should be able to, yeah. Okay. You also, I just gave you the ability to share your screen if you need to do that.
Oh, okay, perfect. I'll do that.
Is the checklist something that can be sent to all of us after this call as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome, thanks.
So can you see where it says 10th Street checklist, or do you see my text us?
We see your checklist.
Perfect. Thanks, Kat. Okay, so this is it. It's a quick, literally 1-page checklist that if you can make sure that the stuff on this checklist is right, it's gonna go through so much faster. So we'll start. I'm gonna swap over here to our Bugs Bunny guy, 10th Street guy. Sorry, guys. Let me get my life put together. There we go. And you'll see that the first thing on the checklist is you want to make sure that all the required information, so everything that has a red asterisk on it, is entered. And that's going to be the same throughout the entire application. You want to make sure that everything that has that red asterisk is checked on. So to do that, I'm going under the assumption that you guys all know how to pull up people from 10th Street and look at a 10th Street application. Is that a correct assumption? Because if not, then I can go back a little bit farther.
Yes.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, cool, perfect. And do you all know how to update a 10th Street if a candidate gives you something to update?
No.
No? Okay, perfect.
No.
Okay, so if you want, so when you go in and you pull up your candidate, whomever it is, in this case it's Bugs Bunny, you'll see this number here in the orange says how many like updates or application updates this candidate has. So Bugs app has been updated 15 times. What you see on the current, on this page, the front page is the most up-to-date app. That's the one that's been updated the most recently. So you are going to want to go to update app, or I'm sorry, update info, and it's going to bring you to this screen. And down here with these tabs will correspond with the checklist. The ones that are the most important as far as what we need completed, what compliance will need completed. So here's Bugs. We see all these red asterisks, which is trickier than it may seem to say. Make sure all of this information is in there, and just please like do a cursory search for like, make sure the candidate's name is spelled correctly, or at least spelled the way that it's spelled in Bullhorn. I know sometimes we have candidates whose docs are misspelled, but they spell their name a different way. So we just really want to, you just really want to pay attention to spelling, make sure that that's correct. So as long as everything with the red asterisks is completed, you're good. But you'll also notice on the checklist that it has the email address. Please, please, please make sure that the email address is in there, because when we send updates or anything, this email address is what the 10th Street's going to use. That's how they're going to correspond. So we need to make sure that the email is in there and correct. And then the biggest, let me back up real quick. So if you make a change on the personal info /CQ page, if you scroll to the bottom, you'll notice there's nothing that says save. This tab is the only one that does it like this. I'm not really sure why it does it like this. It's just quirky. So if you make a change to this first page, let's say Bugs has 2 S's, you just have to hit finalize changes, which unfortunately is going to bring you back to the same view screen. And then if you're not done making the updates, you have to go back into update info again. It is not smart, but that's the way it is. It doesn't work like that with any other tab, just the personal information /CQ tab. So that's just a little heads up. The next tab you want to make sure that is completed properly is the licenses tab. Again, make sure all required information is entered. So all of the stuff that has the red asterisks, and then the physical expiration and the endorsements, like if you enter that information, that would be super rad, but it's not like you have to. I did define the difference, so that way if you do want to enter them, you can. Where it asks for license expiration, that's the actual CDL, whether it's A or B. And then the physical expiration, that's their med cert. So it's that's the date that their med cert expires. So you can put that in there as well. And you'll notice Bugs, his ID is expired and so is his med cert. So we'll go ahead and update that and update that. You want to make sure that the license class is correct, and it'll say on their driver's license. So that way, you know, if you have a candidate who is a CDL, who has their CDLA, but they're applying for a CDLB position or something like that, like just make sure that you're paying attention to what the ID says, if it's a CDLA or B candidate. And then any updates or anything, like I said, you hit save changes. You do not have to hit finalize until the very end, okay? Except on the personal tab. Any questions so far? I'm kind of like powering through it because, again, I'm assuming you guys know like the basics. But if you need me to be more clear about something, please stop me. And I'll slow down a little bit, okay? So that's it for the license. For the violations tab, y'all need to be very, very careful because you cannot, under any circumstance, ask if the candidate has anything on their background. And it says that in highlighted because it's super duper important. So please don't forget, because it will get us in a lot of trouble. Thank you.
Yeah, that's criminal background, just to clarify. You can ask about their moving violations, but
Yes.
you cannot ask about their criminal background.
There we go. But you can, like Kat said, they're criminal. We do need their, if they want to offer that information, if they've had any accidents or moving violations in the last 3 years. Violations are 3 years, so it'll go back to 2018. Accidents are 5 years. And you don't, if they don't offer up like, hey, I was in an accident last year, like, it's fine, you can skip it because it's going to pop up on their MVR anyway. So the violations and accidents tabs are not as critical because we'll find out the information eventually. So I'm 100% okay with y'all skipping it if you want to, honestly. But if there is information that the candidate wants entered, this is where you would do it. So if they do offer up that they have a moving or a traffic violation, you'll unclick no violations. The default is it's automatically on no violations. Unfortunately, you can't just click add new violation. You have to unclick no violations, and then you can add the violation in there. And if you are adding it, again, anything with the red asterisks is required. Accidents are the same. It's going to say no accidents is going to be the default. But if they have an accident in the last 5 years, then you can't hit add new accident. You have to actually unclick no accidents. So Sum of 10th Street is not super duper intuitive, unfortunately. So you kind of do have to work with it a little bit. Now this employment tab is the beast. This is the big one. This is the one that takes most of the time. All 10th Street applications have to go back 10 years. They will not let you miss dates. It will come up with this where it says missing dates, and it won't, it'll just say in red missing date. Like that is not okay. Date gaps are not good. So if in this instance, we can say either that bugs has been at spec since, or is still at spec now, and save changes, and that will go away. So this is big for transfers or rehires and stuff like that. Is this employment section, you're gonna wanna really pay attention to this. So for employment, again, all required information has to be entered, but we also want the street address. Please make sure that there is a full address. It's not just like, it doesn't say Indianapolis, Indiana, because I have seen multiple applications that just say like the city or the state for the address.
Is there a way for us to require that they put in the street address and not just the city and the state? Because I feel like a lot of my drivers just leave that part out.
Because this is
Unfortunately,
this is 10th Street's platform. We don't have any sway over what is required and what isn't.
Gotcha.
So that's why I made the checklist. So that way, as the recruiter, you can go and look at it, eyeball it, and say, okay, well, we need to update, I need the street address or something. Because not for nothing, but it takes a lot of time for me to actually search and find them a lot of the times. And sometimes when the candidate puts very little information in there, I can't find them at all. So the more information that is in here, the better. And we do need the telephone and the position held. So even though they're not asterisk, they don't have the red asterisks, that's why they're on the checklist. Anything that's on the checklist, unless it says if applicable, we need needs to have an appropriate addition. So once this is entered, say driver, it is ideal if they will say like, okay, for this one, he was, well, this is a CDL A driver. But if it's a CDL B position, and I can show you that later because that will affect this stuff down here. 4 positions in 10th Street that are driving positions, please, the most common truck, the most common trailer, and the trailer length. Those guys need to be added. Please, 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 please. So again, if you get this back and you see that that part's not added, you can send it back to them and be like, we need this information in there because we're gonna have to get it anyway. These questions, obviously the red asterisk ones need to be answered. If the candidate was driving, then if they were operating commercial vehicle, they need to check yes, and then they need to make sure that the FM CSR question is checked as well as the DOT question is checked. Please don't let them autofill, because 9 times out of 10, if they autofill, this will say current and then this will be checked no. And so their reason for leaving says that they're still there, but then when it's asked if it's their current employer, they check no, but they don't go back and say, I quit or I was terminated or whatever. So you definitely want to make sure that that is, entered appropriately as well. And you want to look what I did. I added the position where the telephone number is. There we go. And so then you'll do this and you can click through and see, okay, see these ones aren't done. So the candidate, and if you're on the phone with the candidate, I know I've heard a lot of you guys fill it out with the candidate on the phone, which is awesome. But like it's stuff like this, it's easy peasy while they're on the phone. Okay, give me the phone number for the place and what position did you have? This is an example of one that is incorrect because it says reason for leaving is still employed, but they've been working at Spec. So Bugs obviously is not at Cox Trucking anymore. And if he was driving a commercial vehicle, he was subject to the FMCSR questions, which is federal motor carrier or transport safety regulations. The safety laws they need to follow while they're driving is really what that means. And the same with the DOT drug test, the Department of Transportation drug test. If they say this was a CDL-B position, even though he's a CDL-A, he has his CDL-A, Bugs drove a CDL-B truck for Cox, let's say. It's okay to say Class B vehicle and leave most common trailer and trailer length blank. But you can only do that for the certain types of trucks. Bud, correct me if I'm wrong, please, but I believe it is just for a Class B vehicle or for a straight truck. Anything else should have a common trailer and a trailer length. But if, like I said, if he's a B driver, a Class B, then Class B vehicle or straight truck is A-okay. But these questions are still going to be yes, even as a Class B.
Just to throw that in with you, is the on the bottom part of it. If you go down, you scroll down, just look, there you go. A lot of times people are putting in other, and that's where we can't have that, because I've had a number of safety directors call me back and ask, what's other mean? What does that mean, bud? And they really want to know what the other was. And then we have to get stuck calling the driver and trying to find out what were you actually driving? So we definitely want to put in some sort of vehicle. We don't want to put in, they do give them the option of other, but unless it's something that just cannot be explained, it really puts the client in a kind of a precarious position, because he doesn't know what other means. And I can't tell you how many calls I've gotten on that. So we definitely, even with we want to put tractor trailer, just keep it simple, Class B tractor trailer or Class B vehicle, as Tiffany was saying.
And you know, sometimes they'll tell you, okay, I was driving a conventional day cab or conventional tractor, whatever. But like Bud said, if they put in any other than a bus, I suppose, but a tractor trailer or a day cab or something will have a common trailer and trailer length. And then unemployment does count in the 10 years. So does school, any type of school, military. That's why these are, if applicable, truck school. If they graduated with their CDLA within the last calendar year, right, Bud?
Yep. Then
we'll need to also see their truck certificate. You don't have to collect that at the time, but if you just let them know, like, hey, compliance is going to need your certificate as well, so you might want to try to dig that out. That way we can, because we'll include it in the packet. But that's only if they've graduated within the last calendar year. As far as the tidiness of the 10th Street, the tidier you can get it, the better. But also, like, I know that y'all are busy and y'all don't have time to be going through 10th Streets all day, every day. So if you can at least make sure that these things are clicked. Just this checklist, if you can make sure the checklist is done for each employment, at least back the first 3 years, because that's how far back typically our VOEs go. So yeah. So we need, as like for Black Horse, you know, none of this, and I do get 10 streets like this sometimes where none of this stuff is filled out. It's like, okay, well, I don't know what this person was doing at all. We have no idea. So then it's hard for Bud to judge the NVR versus the 10th Street. And that's where the back and forth can come in, where it's like, well, this driver doesn't have enough experience, because on their, according to their 10th Street, who knows, like at Black Horse, they could have been a driver, but they also could have worked in the warehouse. So the more information and the more complete you can make the 10th Street while you're onboarding them, the better. And the less like, okay, well, I had to do this update and now we're waiting. And, you know, oh, well, we found this update. Now we have to wait again. You know what I mean? Like, I try really, really, really hard to only have to send out the 10 streets once for a signature, because I know that the drivers can get frustrated a little bit. It frustrates me. It makes me feel kind of silly when I have to go back and forth, honestly. So the more complete, the better. For
So
all of us.
Tiffany, question, if
Sure.
we make a correction and we hit save, they have to sign it again before we can make another correction, or we can still make a correction?
No, you can make corrections. You save changes every
Uh-huh.
time you make a correction, you save the change, right? When you hit finalize changes, that green finalize changes button, that's the one that's going to make all of the updates that you've made the most current application.
Mhm.
So when Bud is done reviewing the MVR and he comes back and says, okay, well, the MVR is okay, but we need this, this, and this changed on the application, I'll go in, hit update, do what I need to do, save it, and then finalize it. And then I send it out for a signature. If you to do that, so like, let's say you have a phenomenal candidate who is really, really motivated and gives you all of the information. And this is like the prettiest 10th Street you've ever seen in your whole life. And you're like, yes, I'm submitting this to compliance and I'm going to get a massive gold star. Then thank you for the chuckle. I appreciate you.
I totally get it. I see those 10th Streets. I'm like,
That was good.
I love it.
And you're like, ooh, Tip's gonna be so happy. She's gonna do her little chair dance. You hit finalize changes to send it to be signed for the candidate. That's up here. You're gonna hit process. Come down here to add process. Select a process. Schedule communications. Start. Now, for this, you just want to confirm IA is their application. It's like short for Intella app, I believe. So you can, just doing this, hit assign and send it out, and the candidate will, oh, I was right? Yes, thanks, Kat. You could just do it this way and be like, okay, you should get an email. But if you click notify enroller when complete, you will get an email that says A, 10th Street sent the email to the candidate, and B, you'll get an email when the candidate has actually approved and signed off on the changes.
Nice.
So you know for a fact, okay, I know they signed. So whenever I have an update whenever I do this, I always notify myself. So that way, because 9 times out of 10, you'll have the candidate be like, okay, I did it. And I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and nothing. I got no email from 10th Street. And I'm like, that's when I go back and I shoot him a little text or something. Cause usually by that point we're off the phone or whatever. And I'm like, did you go all the way through it? Did you get a message that says submitted, completed, finished, something? I honestly can't remember what the message is, but it will say to the candidate, like, this
That's
is
completed.
yeah, yes, thank you, John. So they will get that notification and they need to see that notification, and that's their clue that yes, they did actually complete it. So I will so this one, let me see if I pull up my email.
Do you mind if I submit a driver while I'm waiting for him to sign off on the 10th Street? Because I make the corrections and then wait for him to sign off, or should I wait to submit him until I get my response that he has completed and signed off?
You can submit them. I would just notate it. John.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because otherwise, I'll go in and we'll end up updating the same updates.
okay.
You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
we'll end up making the same updates. So that way,
Okay.
if we know, then
Yeah,
then
so we can start the process on everything else. Just when in the like extra comments or additional comments section in the submission, just say preliminary updates made, waiting for a driver to sign off on, and you can maybe just kind of give a heads up on what was updated so Tiffany can see
Okay.
it.
Yeah, that's perfect. So you'll see, this is the email that the candidate will get. So when this is the one that says, hey, you need to go in and make some change, confirm, not make changes, rather confirm the changes. So they will click the link and they'll have to like click yes. I don't know if this one will actually, yeah, so you have to log in as Bugs, and I don't have Bugs as login, so. But they'll all they need to do is click yes, literally like all the way through. Click yes, unless something is wrong. Now, if they make an edit, because like I actually had this happen recently where I made a typo and I accidentally said that the candidate had been working somewhere for 10 years, which was literally impossible because he was born in like 1997 or something like that. And he was an infant. So I was like, Bud was like, yeah, that's not going to work. So I had to go back in and do it. But if the candidate, let's say, had noticed that and put like, hey, didn't work there for 10 years, actually, it would come back and say that the task was incomplete. So that is a note to me that says, oh, I messed something up, or the candidate made an update that I need to then edit on the app and before I can send it out again.
Oh, okay.
So to see that, if you get the email that says, okay, the candidate signed off on all the updates, yay, you're good to go. To make sure, if you go to documents, wait, I'm not sharing anymore. Sorry, guys. Told you I get all discombobulated, get nervous. Okay, so you can see Bugs, right?
Yes.
Perfect. To make sure, you'll go into documents and you'll come down here. So here is an excellent example of an unconfirmed confirmation. So when you see unconfirmed confirmation, that's when you know the candidate made a note or made an update on their own. So when you see confirmation AIA, that means that the candidate has approved all the changes and that they've signed. And that top guy is what we're looking for. That top guy is what we need, is the nice, pretty, all wrapped up in a nice bow one. Not the unconfirmed. So, but if the candidate finds something that needs updated on their application, then obviously like we got to update it because it's their application. So.
Or they just go in there and mess something up, then we have to go redo it.
Yeah, which also
Those emails.
yeah, that also happens. So unless your candidate's like super duper savvy with 10th Street, it's probably going to be easiest for you to go through this over the phone with them, especially if it's their first time filling one out. Because if it's their first time filling it out, it can be a little daunting for sure. But if you use the checklist that I will send to everybody, you shouldn't have much of an issue. Anything else that needs to be entered beyond that is stuff that compliance would have to enter anyway, because it's stuff we're going to find out from the MVR or, well, from the MVR, or if we have to run like other reports or something like that. Does that make sense?
That was very thorough.
I know it was very fast. Are there any questions, concerns, anything?
Maybe some IMs when we get in it, but it seems easy.
Yeah, I mean, and with as long as you know, with this checklist, as long as you know what you're looking for and you make sure that the little boxes are checked, it should be like lickety split. And then it's gonna make the turnaround time, especially for drivers, which we know can sometimes take a while, but at least you won't be waiting on their 10 streets. So,
Yeah, I would say, guys, just to reiterate what Tiffany said in the beginning, the better the 10th Street is when it gets submitted to compliance, the faster the process is. 10th Street seems to be the thing that holds us up the most, even more so than DOT backgrounds. And it's normally because we are waiting on the driver. So if you guys can get ahead of it when you're talking to them and doing that initial like screening process, we know it's not going to be 100% perfect every single time it makes it to compliance.
Right.
But if it's better than what we've been getting, it's going to be leaps and bounds, and we'll be able to get these drivers out even faster. So it's just really trying to work as a team to get this all done correctly.
and if I forgot to mention, if they do like offer up that they were in an accident, let's say, there is a little section in there that asks for details. Please, please, please enter the details, because we, Bud and the client do want to see if the candidate was in an accident, what happened, and how it happened. So, but like typically the violations in the accidents section is going to get skipped because most candidates don't want to offer that up. But we'll find out about it. So either way.
They want to wait and see if it's going to show up on the MVR.
Right. So,
Mhm.
And every one of you, look, if you can't get a hold of Tiffany and you've got a quick question or something that you need answered, you can IM me, feel free to. Because I know Tiff gets real busy and gets backed up, and I think we all do. But look, if you can't get an answer from her, just switch it over to me and I'll give you a quick answer.
Yeah.
I'll be glad to help speed that up any way we can.
I pretty much am glued to my desk from 9 to 5 Pacific time. So if you can't reach me, it's give me like 3 seconds, because I'm probably putting out a different fire. So give me a sec. But typically I'm pretty quick when it comes to responses. So I'll do my best to help you through. And even if you just have a question about like, okay, where do I put this again? Like, that's fine. Shoot me an IM. I'm happy to help. Okie doke.
Sounds I also volunteer as tribute. If you need help with 10th Street, you can always give me a call or IM me as well.
And who is this talking?
Oh, sorry, this is Sarah.
Okay.
And because she is my baby sister, I will make sure that she follows the rules exactly the way I lay them out. So her information will be the exact same as mine.
Please don't call me for 10th Street. This is Yasmin.
Yes. No, I gotcha. So, yeah, good, cool.
Yeah, awesome.
If that,
Thanks, Tiffany.
if everyone's good, we're good. And I'll send this out so that way everybody has it.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Yeah, thanks for taking
Thank
the
you
time.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.